about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
This is Rogers TV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome to the show. Today we have come across a little spot called Rocklyn. Have you ever been out and about and seen the beautiful artistic artwork on barns? Well, these ladies are the root of that wonderful showing of quilts on barns. So thank you for joining us here at Rocklyn. Now, if I get the names right, we've got Hillary, Lorraine, and Kimberly. So thank you so much for joining us here in lovely downtown Rocklyn. You guys had a mission, you had a vision, and you've pulled something together that's just absolutely amazing. Tell us how you got started.
In 2016, I saw a beautiful interview or presentation at the most unusual place. It was for the Blind Farmers Convention in London. My friend Mary Simpson, she went on for a couple of hours and a lot of slideshows. I was so excited, I came home and asked the Rocklyn Agricultural Society that I'm a member of if we could have Mary come and do a presentation.
Wonderful.
We were coming up to 150 years of Confederation and also 150 years of Fall Fair for the Rocklyn Egg, and I thought it would be a fitting tribute. Mary came in the fall time, and everything was all set up, coffee and tea. I was expecting hundreds of people to come, and I think maybe we got 20 to 30 people. But I did phone Hillary, and I said, I've got something I think that might be up in your alley.
Wow.
And it all formed from there.
Wonderful. And Hillary, you are a
graphic designer.
Graphic designer by trade?
Yes.
Perfect fit for you. Lorraine did a marvelous job picking that out. How did you start then getting involved with laying it out?
So the night of the meeting that Lorraine had with Mary Simpson from the Ontario Barn Quilt Trail Association, we formed our committee right then and there that night, and we started having meetings. With my skill set of design and everything, we were able to decide that how we were going to structure the quilts and how we wanted the process to go. And then so when somebody wanted a barn quilt, they could first come and I discussed with them what story they wanted to tell, if they had a quilt pattern in mind. And so we could then discuss what they wanted it to look like. And then on my computer, I could draw it all out for them, play with the colors. So we had a plan before we even touched paint or to a board.
And that's the part I didn't realize driving around, seeing all this beautiful artwork on barns, that it actually had a story.
Yes.
And I didn't put the two things together because when my grandma used to quilt, you would just pick out something lovely that you seen on someone's bed, right? Like, because it was always a bedspread or a quilt. But now to incorporate a story into it really drives it home to a community type historical thing,
That was very important for us when we started. We wanted to tell the stories of the families that live here, their heritage, community stories, and that was our main focus. We wanted to share with people the legacy of our area and how important it is for all of us.
Yeah, well, exactly. And it's amazing to see driving through, and you've got this all laid out on a web page and a Facebook page that I've kind of been having a sneak preview at. And I'm in awe of the ladies sitting down, putting out the patchwork and kind of putting it together, because I'm not good at that. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I see what other people do and it's marvelous, but for me to sit down and start picking out colors, it's a tough thing to do, to kind of put it together, let alone put a story with it, right? That's the key part. Now, you had to somehow, you've got your vision, you've put it together, but how do you get it up there? I'm really curious on how that goes, because that's got to be a story in itself.
Well, there was lots of different meetings. We started off a meeting at Kimberly's, and Kimberly's also a big part of this whole team. She's done some designing of different barn quilts herself and a whole lot of painting, but Kimberly's also the one that helped spearhead all the donations.
Yeah.
So we needed a lot of donations.
Because everything is fundraised. Like all these quilts have sponsors and stuff behind them, so that they, to be able to afford to keep our website running and keep all of it, because this is a nonprofit, and so we definitely want to make sure that we can keep our expenses. And we got to send a humongous thank you out. These paints, the quilts would not be as beautiful if we didn't have Dulux Paints, which is our biggest sponsor out of everybody, and the Rocklyn Agricultural Society that stands behind us all to help promote and do this stuff with us. So those sponsors definitely provide us with lots of beautiful colors to work with.
Wow. Yeah. No, see, I didn't realize. So Dulux Paint is your sponsor, and it's a certain kind of paint then that.
So we use exterior paint, and Dulux, we got the paint through their Colorful Communities program, which they're no longer doing, but before COVID, they would supply paint for different community projects to try and beautify areas all across North America.
Wow. Very interesting. Yeah.
We're pretty honored to be part of that. So.
Exactly. You've pulled a lot of resources together, and then how did you start recruiting people to get involved?
The first phase, we concentrated on agricultural society members because that's kind of the easiest to pull from.
Yes.
And since we were focusing on celebrating the 150th Rocklyn Fall Fair, we wanted to make sure that our members were involved. So the first phase, we created 12 quilts, and much to Lorraine's husband's dismay, we took over his man cave and his shop.
Poor Paul.
And we created them together. So it was like the hub of barn quilts, and we drew them all out, and different people did come and help with their production of their quilts. So they would come and paint. And it was really...
They painted, they did everything.
Everybody kind of worked together. So it was very much a community project because we all had different work bee days that were like, okay, we're going to do, get so many quilts ready today and get taping and switching colors back and forth. And so it was so neat to see them come alive and check out the Facebook page and that stuff, and see as we build some of these, we'll take photo essays of them, and as you add another layer of color, it's funny how it all just, I'm like, oh my God, I can see a totally different vision of this quilt just as we add color, and that's the exciting part for the day.
From start then, doing that to finish, how long would that have taken?
So each quilt takes different amount of time. Like this one, for instance, is got to be 140 or 50 hours worth.
Wow.
But the less complicated they are, the simpler they are.
The simpler they are. So tell me a little bit then about the story behind us here.
So this quilt represents the 10 community groups that are so vibrant in the Rocklyn community. People drive through and see a sleepy little hamlet and don't think that anything ever happens here, but some of the groups that are on this is, of course, the Rocklyn Agricultural Society, with the group that we're a part of. There's the Center Grey Lions, the Rocklyn Country Theater, the Rocklyn Father's Day Car and Tractor Show, the kids hockey,
right,
and as well as the Rocklyn Skating Club, the 4-H clubs. 4-H is very active in Rocklyn, so there's multiples of those, the Rocklyn Junior Farmers, the Women's Institute, as well as the Temple Hill United Church.
Wow, this is not a sleepy community.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. And well said up here. Very good. Well, I'm looking forward to having a sneak peek of the Grey Barn Quilt Trail.
For the love of Grey Barn Quilt Trail.
For the love of. I'm really excited to get out, and we're going to hit Kimberly's place first.
Yeah.
Great. So stay tuned. We're going to be on the move. We have ventured to Kimberly Lewis's house, which is part of the Quilt Barn Trail. It's amazing what you have done here behind us, and there's a story behind each one of these. So tell us your story and why you've got this beautiful kind of looped design behind us.
So this is my barn quilt. Our barn quilt is called the double ring wedding ring Baltic Star. So each one of the rings symbolizes the unity of marriage. We also own a wedding decor business and a flower shop. So it very much goes along with our thing. The tradition actually started with my grandmother giving each one of us grandchildren a quilt for our wedding presents, kind of thing. So this is a way in which we can honor her, kind of thing. So I'm about the only one out of our group that actually has quilted. I quilted along with my grandma a lot of the time because she always had a quilt in the frame, and that was our special time that we worked together with everything. So,
right. So now, is this close to the colors that your grandma used?
My wedding one is purples and blacks. I liked the whole rainbow of all the different colors that is in the quilt because of the sheer fact that, you know, we work with a rainbow all the time, and it's very funny to watch this quilt go through the seasons, and I hope you guys were able to check it out in different seasons, because depending on what color is blooming in the garden depends on what colors pop out of the quilt. So it's very interesting to see, even in the middle of winter, it has different colors that showcases versus in the middle of the summer. So,
and I never thought of it that way, because I'm always in awe of the ladies that can sit down and figure out the color scheme, you know? And,
yes.
And then there's the ones that just have a box of patches, right? That kind of do the same type of thing, but they're able to coordinate the colors. And when I go to a fabric store, I think it's just too much information, and I just can't figure out what the colors are. But what you've done here in the different variations of colors it flows so perfectly, and I can see what you mean by the seasons, right?
Yes, different seasons and different you know, times. At times the garden underneath it, because this is one of the few that we have actually on posts in the garden on the trail, kind of thing. So it makes something different, and I'm also very unique because ours is actually cut out of shape, where a lot of standard quilts of the barn quilts are square versus the round edges on it. So when I seen the inspiration picture for this one, I'm like, I need to do something different and make sure that something's very unique with it.
Well, it is very unique, and I can't imagine how you were able to even put that together and make it so symmetrical. As there's a talent in there somewhere, and how you were able to plan that all out there's a lot of background information that goes along with that.
Yes, and even building these on an actual cloth quilt is a lot of math. A lot of people don't realize how much math and calculations that we have to do when we are doing this. A lot of erasers.
No doubt.
As we, you know, draw them out and go, no, that's just not quite right. We got to go back to this. And so, yeah, drawing them out and doing that stuff takes as much time as actually painting them. This one has over 100 plus paint hours. That's just hours applying paint to the quilt, and then there's a good 4 to 5 hours just getting it drawn out.
No doubt,
the one night. So it's just a matter of being on the go with everything. But yeah, it's calculating and knowing how much we can go from what space to what space.
Yeah, because you'd have to be cutting something in a melamine or taping or whatever.
So
and the
we
patience
tape everything out on it. So when we tape that rounded edge, it takes a lot of time. Thank God for our X-Acto knives, because we can at least put the tape over top of the line and then be able to cut the exact curve that we need to be able to cut. And that also gives us that very sharp straight lines when we start working with that too. That helps grapefully with that.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's absolutely amazing. And I can't imagine the work then that went into getting this up on the posts as well. That would have been a job that your husband was probably scratching his head on, or you were supervising. I'm not sure.
It took all of us to be able to get it up. Luckily, we have the tractor and be able to lift up and get it on there without any too much difficulty.
Yes, no doubt. It would have been a full day putting it together. So we're going to move on to our next spot. Thank you very much, Kimberly, for sharing your family story, and we'll go to the next spot on the trail.
My name is Matthew Rutledge. I'm a 60 scoop survivor, born in Red Lake. Was adopted from there to Toronto at the age of 4. A lot of our brothers and sisters, family members got separated from each other. That was the government's goal, to break that connection from brothers and sisters. Basically taking the Indian out of the child. Right now, they're still trying to find themselves. Originally, my birth name is Harvey Halverson. In my high school days, teens, I was trying to fit into society. I knew I was First Nation, so I didn't know who I was inside. I think later in life, I started that journey. I am proud, Anishinaabe man, who I am now. I love life, who I am.
Hi, I'm David Sherman, host of Politically Speaking. Join me for my next show, where my guest will be Sue Carleton, mayor of Georgian Bluffs. Politically Speaking on Rogers TV.
Welcome back. We are on the Barn Quilt Trail in Grey County. We're at our next stop here with Lorraine Irwin, and you have 2 here at your farm. Just because your farm's located on a corner, so you can actually see it from this side road out in front of us and the other one on the way to Rocklyn.
That's right. Yep.
So behind us here, of course, it's going to have a story.
So welcome to Boris Rock Farm again. Yeah, I felt when I wanted my quilts, I wanted my story to tell, a personal story about how this farm came about. So I call it United. Each one generally has a name. Okay. I have United, and I also have my other barn quilt called the Bird. But United is a story about the Boy family that originally bought this farm from Crown Land in 1850. And then from there, we're the second family to live here full time. So United itself was a thistle, because thistle is a united flower of Ireland and Scottish, which is my husband's family heritage. And Hillary, when she was graphic designing it, decided to make the flower head into a crown to indicate it came from Crown Land. And then all of the colors are on my husband's tartan. So his ancient family tartan. So in a way, it was amalgamated the boys and amalgamated the McLarens into this.
Oh, that is fantastic. I never thought of, when you look at it, you do see the crown, you do see the different colors. Now, how did you get it erected up onto the barn? That would have been
a little bit of a work and artwork. We had a couple of tractors. We knew exactly where we were going to place it onto the barn. We wanted a beautiful setting from the road up to here, and so that everybody could see what I call a masterpiece. And then it was held in place by tacks of 2 tractors, and then somebody
in a bucket?
All in, yes.
On a wing and a prayer?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because they get very heavy.
Is that 1 piece, 4 pieces? Like how many pieces
it's
is
exactly
that?
2 pieces. They're 4x8s. When we design them all out, they have to be lined up before we even start painting. And then from there, once they're all painted, we put them together and make sure they're geographically perfect.
Perfect.
And then put up onto a frame, and then that frame itself was lifted up.
Onto it. Oh my gosh. I'd be with bated breath watching that whole process and someone in a bucket. And
Well, you have to be really careful. Sometimes the barn could be too old, the wood could be a little bit more rotten. It would pull down the whole side of a barn if you weren't careful exactly what you were doing.
Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm looking forward to going over to the other barn and seeing the bird, you called it?
The bird. It's a different form of a barn quilt. It's called applique, and we'll see the difference between this to applique.
Awesome. Let's go have a peek. We've moved to the other side of the barn, actually.
Yep.
And this is the bird that you had talked about.
This is the bird. I couldn't think of it like a more beautiful name for it. It's the shape of a barred rock chicken.
Okay.
As we talked about the design of the quilt pattern, it's done in applique.
Oh.
So applique just means that it looks like things are placed on. Hillary designed it for me. She did all the coloring. It's a lot bright. It can see from the side of the road behind us.
It's a happy bird.
It is a very happy bird. It was my mom's favorite breed of chicken called barred rocks. So there it is, and now we have barred rocks all running around our yard as we speak.
Wonderful.
Yes. It was temperamental to put up. As you can see, it's got some leg bolts at the top that we had to actually lift it up with a truck box. That because it's very heavy and it's a lot higher than the United one.
Right.
So then from there it was bolted, leg bolted onto the side of the barn for that extra strength into the beams behind.
Right. Right. Oh, well, it would have been another nail-biting experience to watch.
Because our barn is very old. That wood has to be over 75 years old, but the beams behind were solid.
Right, and that's where you can see the leg bolts that go into that overlap of the barn board. Wow, that's just an amazing. I just can't fathom how you guys come up with these ideas and then put it.
Well, I knew what I wanted, but for Hillary, it was a work of art. We had to actually place the boards lined up against the wall. She used a big projector, and then from there we drew out all of everything that we could see by
from
part
the
of it by hand.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for letting us come in and have a look at your two. And of course, your garlic here is always fantastic. So thank you so much.
Thank
Lorraine.
you.
We are on our last stop, but not technically the last. But for this show, this is our last stop, and it's at Hillary Bredner's farm. And of course, you have a quilt as well.
I do.
You do. What does this kind of entail for your history?
So this is the Bredner log cabin. We chose the quilt. My dad thinks it's very boring, but we chose the quilt. First of all, my parents live in a log home, which, hey, that's pretty easy.
That's easy.
But there's actually quite a bit of history to this. So I'm the 7th generation of Bredner clan to farm this land on this property. My family immigrated here from Katy in Ireland.
Oh, okay. Not the Katy.
Not the Katy.
The Katy across the pond.
The Katy across the pond.
Yes.
In the 1840s, and then was settled here. And from then on, in the 1850s, my ancestor William Bredner had held church in his home.
Oh my.
And actually, my family was involved in building the first log church in Temple Hill. And then one of my ancestors died felling a tree, and that is how the Temple Hill Cemetery came to be, is that he is buried there. And then once the church burned down, they had gone across the road and purchased some land from somebody from the Boyd family, and they built the church that is standing on the corner now today.
Oh my, that's amazing history. That is so cool. So no, this isn't boring. It has the wonderful story that goes with it.
It might be simple and geometric in the pattern, but it has the story behind it that makes it special.
That is an amazing story. Now, if I were to set out in doing this, how can I learn what the stories are?
So all of the stories are highlighted on our website. On our website, we have the opportunity, we put together an interactive Google map so that people can pick a location and get directions on where to go to get there. Every one of the 30 quilts that we have is up on our website.
Okay.
And then we also have some 4-foot. These are 8-foot quilts that we've been showing today,
Right.
but there are some 4-foot quilts that we do have as well on the trail that people can see as well. Just from an etiquette standpoint, if you're going to take the trail, and we encourage everyone to, they are spread across most of the county at this point, but if you're going to take them in, we please ask that you stay at the road. All of our lovely hosts have been so kind to have them, and they're all visible from the road, so we would just like for people to respect the landowner and take them in from a distance.
From a distance. And because they're such a nice size,
yes,
you can definitely see them from the road. Bring some binoculars per se, or even maybe a little camera with a zoom on it if you're wanting to create your own collection. But this is just, it's been a real eye-opener for me. I tell you, I've seen all this, but I just didn't put all the work that went behind it and the amount of time that you and Lorraine and Kimberly have done.
And this is our this is just our volunteer work. We're not getting rich off this by any means. And if anybody wants to join the trail, there's a host application on our website, and we would love for more people to get involved.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And you've had sponsorships. Are you still looking for sponsorships to help with the costs?
Yes, we are. We ask that, so we've kind of pivoted our model so that people, if they want to join, they can sponsor their own quilt. We also have people that are wanting to paint their own barn quilts. So they paint them and then they pay us just a fee to get on the website and that sort of admin sort of payment, and then they can take pride in their ownership by painting their own.
Right.
We also have a do-it-yourself handbook so that we can share all of the knowledge that we have.
I don't know about the do-it-yourself thing. I don't know, but
and some people aren't interested, but we've come across a few hiccups along the way, but we've created these quilts almost 7 years ago now, and they've been hanging for almost 7 years. So they stand the test of time so far.
Exactly. And the paint company that's sponsoring you is
Dulux.
And yeah, like it looks as if you've just painted this yesterday. So that says a lot for your sponsorship of paints, which is good. That's always a fear when you're putting up artwork,
yes,
right? On how the UV is going to be affecting it.
And we coat all of them with a sealer to make sure that they don't fade or minimize the fading over time.
Wow. So definitely something to do. We've went through Rocklyn. There's the Rocklyn Inn. There's the Rocklyn General Store. Definitely stop in, especially the ice cream that apparently there's 30 different varieties that's there. So plan out your trip accordingly. And now that you've spread out, you're in Grey County.
Yes, there's all the way from Owen Sound to Thornbury. I mean, we have the biggest group of them here right around Rocklyn because, like I said, we started the first 12 in this area, and so we've spread out from there, but we welcome anyone to come and enjoy all our hard work.
Oh, definitely. It's more than a day trip if you're looking for something. So again, yes, stop in and patronize the little villages that are not little, they're huge, right? Especially by the way that the girls talked. And stop in and see Lorraine and Paul too and pick up some garlic, but check them out first because you got to do it by appointment. But there's just so many places to visit here in the back roads, and most of them are paved. So don't be afraid to get out and about. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. And we'll see you again next time on Wandering Grey Bruce.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.